Hello and welcome to another video. It's here. Cities of Sigmar have landed. Am I going to be salty or am I going to be happy? Grab a brew, get comfortable, and let's get ripping into this. So, Cities of Sigmar have finally got their focus. Obviously, I did a video on over the weekend talking about my hopes and dreams and what I really like, well, kind of what I'm expecting this to show. I've had a brief read over it and kind of sort of like a couple of passes, sort of just to sort of get the gist of what they've changed. And there are some major changes here. Let's not lie, there are some pretty big changes. So if you don't know who the Cities of Sigmar are and you are new to Cities of Sigmar and Age of Sigmar as a whole, Cities of Sigmar are basically the Order faction, so like Sigmar's humans. If you look at them in a 40k equivalent, they're basically the Imperial Guard, essentially, okay? They're your normal humans fighting to create sort of cities in the wilderness of the mortal realms, fighting against chaos, orcs, and all other manner of beasties. To basically, they are the little people. So if you want an actual faction that is not super powered like Stormcast, then you've got Stormcast. You've got the Cities of Sigmar. They're pretty cool. I like them because of the aesthetics. The models are absolutely beautiful, and they kind of give me that sort of War of the Roses type vibe. I can have cavalry, I can have shield walls, I can have cannons. You know, you can get a real sort of battle of Bodmin Moor and stuff like that. So let's have a little look at them and really sort of get in to see what these changes are going to be. So obviously, there's a nice little shot of the army. Absolutely, I love Talia. I have her for my birthday that I'm currently working on, and yeah, she is featured in this article. So let us see the battle traits. So the battle traits are basically the new order system. So if you didn't understand how the army worked, in 3rd edition we had orders. And basically how that worked was you would assign orders to your heroes at the beginning of the round, not your turn, at the beginning of the battle round, and they would be face down and you would assign them. And there were basically things like you could advance, which give you +3 to your movement, you could suppressive fire, you could return fire, and you could do all sorts of little stuff like that. Essentially now what we've got is, we had, I believe, about five orders you could give to humans. You had 3, basically, that you could give to elves and dwarfs. And they were kind of sort of built around the racial elements of the army. What we've got now is we've now got 4 orders, essentially. This is what our battle traits are. There are orders. And there is no more humans, dwarfs, and elves, although some of them do have buffs to those races, which is kind of interesting. It's a very big departure, and obviously there is no tokens used anymore. So the first order, officers' order as they're known, is you advance formation. So pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar hero that has not used an officer's order ability this turn to use this ability, then pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of that hero and not in combat to be the target. Now, the wholly within 12 is a buff, because in 3rd edition it was 3 inches. Every unit within 3 inches of that hero got to basically do that order, okay? So now it's just 1 unit, and you get now a 12-inch bubble. So that's a good change. I like that. If the target is human, cool, okay, we've still got the racial element. You can pick an additional Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of that order and not in combat to be the target. Right, so that is 2 human orders. 2 human units are going to be able to work off the back of this. That's cool. I like that. That's interesting. Effect. Pick each target can move 3 inches. Each target cannot move into combat during any part of that move. Now, I would just like to sort of say, because the original of this order was they got +3 to their move. So does that mean that I can pop this 3 inches and then I get to move that unit again? Do you know, just see what I mean? So there's a couple of things here that I would like to sort of understand and how that works. So I pick the unit, I pick up to 2 units because I'm going to be playing mostly human. Probably will be playing all human. And then 2 of my units are going to get to move 3 inches. Right. And does that mean so it's in your movement phase? As long as they're not in combat and they can't move into combat range. So you can't move within 3 inches of an enemy unit. Lots to sort of take there and see how that works. And is it going to affect the unit for be able to move again? So is it like, otherwise, why would you use it? Because it's just 3 inches. So why would you use it? So I'm going to work on the assumption that you get to move an extra 3 inches and then that unit can get to move their normal move. So you basically can get 3 inches move out of it. Because in the previous thing it was +3 and you could essentially move up to 8 inches with your standard infantry. So in the next one, in any charge phase, so your opponent or your own, pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar unit, hero, that has not used an officer's order, one of these. This turn to use this ability, then pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar unit that charged this turn that is wholly within 12 inches of this hero to be the target. You add 1 to the attack characteristics of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. That's pretty cool. +1 attack is pretty nice. I quite like that. In addition, if the target is an elf, so this is where we're going to start seeing the different racial elements. So we kind of get in a human, an elf, and there is a Duridan buff as well. If it's an elf unit, you add 1 to the hit rolls for the target's combat attacks for the rest of the turn. So if you're going to be using elf units, which, let's be fair, the elves are probably going to be staying in the book. We don't know about the dwarfs yet, but the elves are definitely going to be staying. You get +1 to hit. Cool. So suppression fire, and this is an interesting one because in the previous 3rd edition, this was kind of used in conjunction with a battle tactic. And now, obviously, we don't know what the battle tactics are going to be for the Cities of Sigmar, but I'm expecting a battle tactic around suppressive fire. So pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar hero that has not used an official officer's order ability this turn. Then pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of that hero to be the target. Each time the target uses a shoot ability this phase, if all of its attacks target the same enemy unit after that ability has been resolved, roll a dice. If the result is equal to or less than the number of models in that enemy unit that were slain by shooting attacks this phase, that enemy unit has to strike last for the rest of the turn. And that's a little bit of an easier way of doing how to do suppressive fire. I really like that change, which in the previous version, it was you issued the order, you fired, and then you rolled 2d6 after you've resolved all of the attacks and wounds, and you roll 2d6, and basically you add the number of wounds to the 2d6 roll, and you had to basically score higher than their bravery. It was really convoluted, and it was really annoying. And when you did the battle tactic, which you had to destroy your unit that was suppressed, they ended up having to FAQ it basically by saying that if you destroy the unit, you don't need to roll the dice for the suppression. They're just automatically suppressed. I like this. This is kind of a little bit more of an elegant way of doing it. Good change. Pretty cool. So, any combat phase, hold the line. Declare, pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar hero that has not used an officer's order ability this turn to use this ability, then pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of that hero, and that did not charge this turn to be the target. Effect, you get the strikes last ability. Okay, not too great, but you get a 5-up ward. And if you're a Duridan, you subtract 1 for hit rolls for the combat attacks that are targeting you. Now, what I'm seeing here straight away is that you are going to be able to mix and match some units. Now, I'm still pretty wary about investing in Duridan units and Aleph units for 4th edition until I actually see the battle tome, because I'm not 100% convinced that the dwarfs are going to be in 4th edition, the 4th edition book, because that model range is going to the old world. We know it's only a matter of time before they go on pre-order. As for this hold the line ability, strikes last, okay, you might not nearly want to use that. The 5-up ward save might be handy, but your troops are not that durable, so bear that in mind, okay? We're going to see that when we start seeing some of our core units. Okay, so battle formations. So when the Fortress City defenders march out to defend their homes, they do so in discipline, standing resolute in the face of the enemy, many times their strength. Fusilier mages on Ogre Warhawks, Iron Will cannons, Freeguild Fusiliers, and Castellan formations start the battlefield in a fortified position. So basically, if you want to do a Fusilier army with cannons and the Ogres and have a more sort of gunline type army, this is the battle formation that you're going to take. So it's Bulwark Zone. So friendly Cities of Sigmar units that have the fortified position ability, we'll be able to look at that later. Start the first battle round in a fortified position. In addition, in the first battle round, subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks that target friendly Cities of Sigmar units while they are wholly within friendly territory. -1 wound on the first round is pretty good, especially if you're in your friendly territory, and that can kind of blunt down the alpha strike a little bit as well. So that's on reading it again, that's not bad. Okay. When I first read it, I was a bit like, man, that's not very good. But actually reading it again, it's actually not too bad. So we have an incantation. It's a spell done in your hero phase, casted on a 7. Pick a friendly Cities of Sigmar wizard to cast the spell. Pick a friendly friendly Cities of Sigmar unit, wholly within 12 inches of the target. Then make a casting roll of 2d6, needing 7 or more. Until the start of your next turn, add 1 to the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for that target to a maximum of 3. Now, obviously, you're going to be wanting this in a cavalry army, and you've got a spell to get an additional dice when you're going to be rolling your charges. I'm seeing that is probably either we get a mounted wizard, which I'm not expecting in the faction pack, unless we get a new book first, which we're not getting it. But what I'm expecting is this is more going to be taken on a battle mage, on a hippogriffin, on a big griffin, and you're going to be basically able to have him flying around, running alongside your cavalry to basically pop off these spells to get that 3 dice charge, 3d6 charge. It could come in really handy. But cavalry, I'm just going to warn you now, are not as good as they were in 3rd edition, okay? They've kind of done us dirty. So, Talia, and one of my favourite models in the Cities of Sigmar range, by far. She has a 4-up save, she has a movement of 12, she has 15 health, and a control of 5. Okay, she is a War Master, she's unique, she's a hero, she's a monster, she flies, and she has a 6-up ward. Why does she have a 6-up ward? Like, this model is like at currently 300 points. She should have at least a 4-up ward. She is literally the leader of the Cities of Sigmar army. Okay? So she has weapons of office. She has 6 attacks. She hits on 3s. She wounds on 4. She has 1 rend, 2 damage apiece. Not too bad. She has the jaws on the lion, which if you have 10 wounds allocated or more to this model, it drops down to 2 attacks. But you start off with 3. It hits on 3s. It wounds on 2s. It does 2 damage, and it does 3 damage per attack. It's anti-monster plus 1 rend, and it's a companion attack. So it has the Scorpion Sting, which is 2 attacks, hits on 4s, wounds on 2s, 3 rend, D3 plus 3 damage. That's pretty good. She herself is still only 2 damage. Okay, she's got 6 attacks. She is hitting on 3s. She is wounding on 4s. Okay, not amazing. And she has no abilities on that sword at all. Okay, but maybe her abilities and things that she'll give the army might be worth bringing her, because right now unless we see the griffin, the big griffin, yeah, she doesn't. She's not going to turn out that much damage. To be completely fair, it's that wounding on 4s is going to scuttle you all the time. So she has a passive ability. She has a passive ability, Unparalleled Tactician. So when this unit uses an Officer's Order ability, you can pick an additional friendly Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target of this ability. Right. So I'm going to read this, and I'm guarantee this is going to get FAQ'd. But I'm going to read this, that if you do this to a human unit, you're going to get 4 human units. Okay? And the reason why I say that is because the human order, if you do the movement 1, is if you target a human, you can pick an additional Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within 12 inches of this hero. So she gets to pick she'll be able to pick 2 human units to get the +3 move, and essentially that allows her to do 4 human units to get the +3. Now, some people may argue against that, and I'm sure that's probably going to be an FAQ quite quickly. Just to clarify that is probably the way it's going to work. But the reading, how well that reads, you're basically going to get to basically do advanced formation 4 times on human units for 4 units getting the +3 or 3-inch move. Okay. So once per battle army, any combat phase, declare this unit is in combat. Pick up to 3 other friendly Cities of Sigmar units wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. For each target, you can return a number of slain models to that unit with a combined health characteristic of up to 3. So, what she kind of did in the previous edition, if you were in combat with her and your army, you could kind of start bringing models back on a rally of 4+. Obviously, rallies changed significantly in 4th edition. So what she now does is she now has a heal. That's not bad, but you need to have her in combat, and your units need to be basically being with her. So she can't really ride off and do other things. She kind of needs to be with the bulk of the army to use that army ability. Then she has once per turn army, any combat phase. Pick an enemy monster that charged this turn and is in combat with this unit, and on a 3+, it strikes last. That's not bad. Okay. She's okay. I think for me, it's going to have to be down to how many points she is. The healing ability is quite good, especially if you're going to be sort of tanking, sort of doing a turtle sort of castle formation. Having her in the center, she's going to be able to get stuck in, and you're going to be able to throw out those heals while you're fighting. The ability to get the human order, the advanced formation 4 times with her is going to be quite interesting. Obviously the Chimera does some damage, and she's okay. I've just got a feeling that the actual out and out monsters, proper monsters, are going to absolutely rip her to pieces. Like if from what I've seen in the battle report with Avalor, he's going to basically run up to her and literally knock her into the middle of next week. Like, she only has 15 health. She has a 4-up save and a 6-up ward. That's it. Like, she's going to get minced by an out-of-out combat monster like a Bloodthirster or Avalor, one of your big cows, or any of it. So she's not a monster, a combat monster. She's not. It's a shame that she just doesn't have the damage output, and she's just not that tanky. So I'm really hoping that we're not going to be still reliant on bringing a 200-point model like Pontifex to make this army survivable, because at the moment it's kind of looking that way. So the next battle, next is the Fusel Major on the Ogre. Now, I really love this model. It's one of the coolest models in the range. 3rd edition was pretty much lackluster, but hopefully it's better. So he has 5 move, he has a 3-up save, he's got 8 health, hasn't changed, control of 2. So the long Fusilier rifle, and this is the weapon that is literally giving me hope for the Fusiliers. 24-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, critical auto wounds. I've got a feeling that is what the Fusiliers are going to get. Anti-hero plus 1 rend. So that's kind of cool. In your shooting phase, you can mark target. So pick an enemy unit that was targeted by this unit's shooting attacks this turn to be the target. Add 1 to hit rolls for shooting attacks made by friendly Cities of Sigmar units that target that unit for the rest of this turn. So already we see how to get a +1 to hit on those Fusiliers by bringing one of these. I have one. I've got a load of Fusiliers. I will probably be using them in conjunction straight away. In melee, it's got the Warhulker's Mace. It's 4 attacks. It hits on 4s. It wounds on 4s. It's 2 damage, 2 red and 2 damage. No abilities. That's actually quite better than what it was. So it's kind of been a little bit buffed in combat. He was kind of lackluster in combat. He kind of never really did anything. The hitting on 4s is still a little bit meh, but the wounding on 2s with the 2 rend and the 2 damage, that's not bad. So hopefully. So the fortified position, and this is a big one because obviously the cannons are going to have this rule, and so are the Fusiliers. So your movement phase, this unit's establishes a fortified position and remains in a fortified position until it either uses a move ability or is removed from the battlefield. While this unit is in the fortified position, subtract 1 from the rend characteristics of weapons used for attacks that target this unit. So you're -1 rend. Now, in the previous version, in 3rd edition, fortified basically meant that you had to shoot on a different profile. I've got a feeling that that's probably going to be gone. It's going to be more simplified. And if you move, you are no longer fortified and you basically can get hit by rend. If you're in a fortified position, you're going to be able to be -1 rend to be hit. That's not bad. Previously, it was ignore all rend from incoming attacks from range. Okay, so it's a little bit nerfed, but it's worded a little bit better in regards to, it seems to be that you're not going to affect the shooting output. But we'll have to see the Fusiliers war scroll for that, and at the moment they're not going to show us it. So yeah, I'm liking this guy. I'm definitely going to be bringing him if I'm bringing Fusiliers, purely to get that +1 to hit, because I think that's how you're going to have to use these guys. So next up, we have the Freeguild Cavaliers, the unit that I was fully expecting to be the literally MVP of the faction pack, has turned out to be everything that I wanted, but also what I fully expected to happen as well, and kind of was hoping it wouldn't. So they have a 3-up save, which is what I expected. They are heavy cavalry. They move 10 inches. Cool, they still do that anyway. And they have 3 health, which they've been given an additional health point. Yes. So 3 health is good, because right now they're 2 health, and they kind of die really to a stiff breeze. They've only got a control of 1. That's fine. They're cavalry. They're not really meant to be, any major amount of control. They're kind of there to smash up infantry. And they have Cavalier weapons. And this is kind of where it's a bit of a shame. Okay? So they've got 3 attacks, which is what they currently had. And they're now 4 to hit, 4 to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage. But they get +1 damage on the charge. That's a nerf, straight off the bat. That is a nerf. It's not great. They were hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage. And then when they charged, they got the +1 rend and the +1 damage. So they're not getting that anymore. They're only going to get the +1 damage. So they're going to be damage 2 on the charge, but still hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. And the horses are now hitting on 2 attacks, hitting on 5s, wounding on 3s, 1 damage. That's a little bit of a shame. Now, obviously, they kind of make up for that is that in any charge phase, if this unit charged this phase, pick an enemy unit with 1 inch of it, and you roll the dice for each model in this unit that is in combat. For each 4+, inflict 1 mortal wound damage. Now, that's kind of cool, and they've got that from one of the cities. I think it was Excelsior. If you've taken that city as your city subfaction, basically cavalry units got +1, did mortal wounds on the damage, on the charge, sorry. So they've kind of just baked that into the war scroll, which is kind of cool. But it's only 1 dice, and you're going to only have maybe have a unit of 10. And so you're going to be maybe rolling 10 dice, and every 4+, you're going to be getting 1 mortal wound damage. but you're still kind of nerfed in combat because you're now hitting on 4s and you're wounded on 4s rather than 3s. Yeah. They do have a champion, they do have a standard bearer, and they are human. Yeah. A little bit sad that they've kind of got nerfed. I was really hoping that they would stay 3s and 3s. I fully expected the charge plus 1 damage, to be completely fair. Right, but that's yeah, it's a shame. But I still think that the cavalry army is going to be the way forward. Maybe. We'll have to see the other 4 battle formations. So, the humbled Freeguild Steel Helms. Oh, the Steel Helms. How you guys suck so badly and die to a stiff breeze. So you've got a 4-up save, you've got a 5 move, you've got 1 health, 1 control. They've got 2 attacks. They hit on 4s, they wound on 4s, they have no rend, and they do 1 damage. And they've got 0 abilities on their weapons. They literally are conscripts. They do have they still have retained their Consecrate Ground ability that they had in 3rd edition. So once per turn, army in your movement phase, if this unit is contested, an objective you control that is not contested by an enemy unit, you roll a dice. So basically, you move on to an objective. You roll a dice on a 3+. You consecrate that ground, and that unit then gains a 5-up ward save. If your opponent gains control of the consecrated objective, it is no longer consecrated. So if they then take it off you, you lose that 5-up ward, basically. Yeah, they haven't really changed that much. One of the things that they have lost is the command ability hopping. So what they had in 3rd edition was they had an ability that if you give them an all-out attack or all-out defend, another unit of Steel Helms that was wholly within 12 inches of it also got to do that command for free. And it was really kind of cool because you could have a couple of them working together, getting onto objectives, and they could kind of sort of bounce off each other. And if you hit one, the other one kind of got buffed as well. But so they've lost that. But yeah, I wasn't expecting anything crazy for Steel Helms, to be quite honest. They're still going to probably be dirt cheap, and they're still probably going to be your dirt cheap, like sort of faction battle line units, screen units if you really want to use them. But more than likely, I would potentially be running cavalry now going into this, or possibly bringing some dwarfs, longbeards or something like that, are probably going to be a lot more tankier and probably a little bit better. And you've got the ability now to use the orders with them. You're just not really going to be buying into using the movement 1 and picking 2 units. So yeah, it's kind of opened it up a bit, but I was never expecting these to get any better. So words from the studio, yay, and we already know what's in their spearhead, because it was one of the first spearhead boxes to be released. You get 10 Steel Helms, you get 5 Cavaliers, you get the mounted Freeguild Marshall, and you get a cannon. Kind of cool. It's very cool. You get. I personally, if you're starting Cities of Sigmar, I would definitely get one of these because it's a good core to your army. Potentially even getting 2 of them, and it would definitely give you a core. There's definitely scope for running 2 mounted heroes in 4th edition, especially with those Cavaliers, and 2 cannons. Well, we haven't seen the War Scroll, but maybe they'll be better. I'm really hoping that they're better. So we got the Castle Company, so officers' orders, so they get to declare and they get the effect. So you can pick a battle tactic card in your hand and place it face down separately next to your battle tactic or cards. Obviously, this is for Spearhead. The information on it is still hidden from your opponent, but make it clear that your card is separate. The card stays separate until you use the command on it or you score the battle tactic on it, as I described below. When you use this command on the card, it is not discarded but returned to your hand, and your opponent can check the information on it before it returns to your hand. The card goes back to being a normal battle tactic card. with the exception that you cannot use the command on it in the same phase it went back into your hand. If you do not use the command on the card you separate it, you can still score the battle tactic on it at the end, and your turn is normal if you meet its conditions. If you do so, discard it as normal. Yeah, cool. I'm probably not going to be playing Spearhead, so I'm not really interested. Right, but one thing I am is this guy, and as I said, I think the Spearhead rules are going to give us a little bit of a glimpse into what this unit is going to do in the larger 4th edition games. So the Freeguild Marshall has a 3-up save. Cool, brilliant. He moves 10, has 7 health, 2 control. That's not really changed much, to be completely fair. He already had a 3-up save, he already had 7 health, and he already moved 10. So he has his pistols, 10-inch range, 2 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, shoot into combat. Then he has his Master Forged Longsword, 5 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, 1 rend, 2 damage, no abilities, and then the horse, which is exactly the same as a Cavalier horse in the Cavaliers War Scroll. Then he has Decisive Commander. So your hero phase, pick a friendly Freeguild Steel Helms unit, hold you within 12 inches of this unit to be the target and roll a dice. On a 2, pick 1. On your feet, if the target unit is not in combat, you can return D3 slain models to it. Yield, no quarter, add 3 to the target's unit's control until your next turn. I don't think that ability will be in his proper War Scroll, because that's kind of sort of definitely a Spearhead thing. So yeah, that's the Cities of Sigmar. So next week, tomorrow is going to be the Caradron Overlords. So that'll be interesting to see what the Sky Dwarf Pirates are going to get. But yes, let's close this out. So Cities of Sigmar. What do I think of the preview? It has some good points. It definitely has some bad points. I like the new orders. The new orders have been buffed. Obviously, they've been gutted because things like Return Fire and a lot of the other orders that you kind of had are now sort of baked into the main core rules of the game. So you can still return fire in at the end of your opponent's shooting phase for a CP. So you can do all that. The counter charge is also a standard core ability now rather than being a Cities of Sigmar order. So there's a lot of things that you can still do that you could do before. They're now just core abilities. So I like the orders. I like the fact that it's 12 inches. Rather than being just 3 inches. I'm digging that. There are some really I'm not fully understanding the movement one. The way I'm reading it is that they get to move 3 inches and you'll still get to choose to use them in your movement phase to then move their normal move. So I'm going to still take it that they get a +3 to their movement, but they just kind of move twice, their normal move and then a 3 inch. I may be wrong at that. If I'm wrong and it's only that 3 inch move, I have seen no reason why you would ever use that order. Ever use that order. That is absolutely dog shit if it is. But I'm hoping that I'm right, that you move normally and you can still target the unit to move again 3 inches. I don't understand if it's not that, then I don't understand why it just wasn't +3 to the move. Suppressive fire is definitely a lot better than it was. I really like that. Obviously, if you only kill one model, you ain't suppressing the unit because you can't roll less than 1. So, yeah, you at least kill 2 models and then hope for a 1. I'm liking holding the line, striking last. Okay. There might be a time where you want that. And obviously, we haven't seen everything. This is only a glimpse at what changes have been made. We still haven't seen Pontifex. We still haven't seen the Fuseliers. We still haven't seen the Marshal on foot. We still haven't seen what the companions, the command corps are going to be able to do. We haven't seen the cannon. We haven't seen any of the dwarfs or any of the elves. So we don't fully know what's going to be coming big picture, but we kind of get a gist of how the army is going to play. Talia is a little bit disappointing in regards to that she isn't a combat monster. She's kind of a monster, but she's not a monster. And any monster that she comes up against is still going to absolutely rip the pieces out of her. She's only got a 4-up save and a 6-up ward. I don't understand why a War Master model like her hasn't got a better ward save than 6+. I think that's pretty crap. A 4-up ward save should be what she has. If Pontifex retains her 4-up in ward save, then the question is, why does Talia not have a 4-up ward save? She's a War Master. She's literally the leader of the army. I'm massively disappointed with Cavaliers. Hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s is a massive nerf. It doesn't matter how you twist this and look at it with the mortal wound damage on the charge and the +1 damage on the charge. It doesn't matter. You're still hitting on 4s. You're still wounding on 4s. And that's a big nerf. It's just a big nerf. Yes, they got the additional wound, which is kind of nice. They might hang around in combat for a little bit longer than they used to, but they're just not going to be lifting units like they did. They're elite cavalry. They are essentially like elite. There's no even rules, any additional rules there for the Arcanite. So the Arcanite seems to have disappeared, which is kind of sad because it was kind of cool that you had an Arcanite leading them. And I love the concept of the Arcanites in the army. They're like, these are knights that are like leading. They're in your command corps. They're leading your cavalry. I was really hoping for, and I'm still hoping for a unit of 5 Arcanites on foot. Kind of like Cities of Sigmar version of Chaos Chosen. So yeah, at the moment, what I'm thinking is you may need or possibly to look at bringing dwarfs as your sort of your line. But you've also got to remember as well that your hero that you pick for your regiment is going to kind of dictate what units are going to go into it. So, you know, you're not going to be able to bring like a Freeguild Marshall and then a load of dwarfs as your regiments because they're not going to share the same keywords. So that's yeah. It's I'm not completely disappointed. There's a lot of changes I do like, but there are certain elements of this that I just don't. I was really hoping that the cavalry would be the shining star, and hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s is terrible. That's a major nerf. The ogre, the ogre is really good. I quite like him. I'm liking the changes to fortified position. And yeah, I'm thinking maybe a griffin with a mage on the back of it is probably going to be a thing to get, especially if you go for the cavalry army, to get that extra attack. To get the extra attack from the order and to use the spell to get the 3d6 charge. So we'll have to see. But all in all, so far, I'm more happier than I am salty about the changes. But yeah, we'll definitely have to see. Once we get the faction focus, the faction pack itself, the actual board, I'll do another video on the cities, and we'll break everything down for the Cities of Sigmar, and we'll go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll really pull it apart and see exactly what the faction is going to be able to do and what it's not going to be doing. So yeah, I'm not abandoning the army anytime soon, but I am. I still have questions that's going to need to be raised, especially for a competitive side. So yeah, we'll see. Okay, but that's the video. If you like what I do, please like, subscribe, share, do all of that good stuff. Check out my members area if you want to see me painting up a Freeguild Marshall, and my Patreon as well if you want to support me in other ways. Okay, and I will be back tomorrow with Caradon Overlords. So I see you all then, people. Goodbye.